Well, it's pretty crazy to think, like, obviously you listen to each other's podcasts, but for me to come up just completely kind of out of the blue. Like, I think I messaged you and like a week later, I think I was like up here doing it. And dude, like that point in my life as well, when I like did that trip and like all these things started to come into place, man, it was like this really like big build up. Like it just like, and you know, when like you start putting off like that good energy and start like life picks up those momentum, like that's what it felt like. Like I had this moment and then like all this good stuff started happening. So like it happens because you put out that good energy and then it just comes back on you. But it was like this weird, like perfect series of events building up to like coming to then do a podcast, where then honestly, man, like pretty like life changing from like the response I got from that. Like
it was insane.
It was like, dude, I in that point in my life, honestly, around that time was like best point in my life. Like everything was just happening. I had this good mindset, and then to like come up and then share that with so many people, and then like the outpouring of like support and like just overwhelming like connection to like that story was just, dude, so overwhelming. And there was like hundreds of people, and I was like, and I replied to everyone like properly, because I was like, this is like, this means something, like I'm gonna like go in. But like I got so much joy out of replying to these people, because they're like, people opened up to me about so much stuff. They're like, honestly, so many messages, I've never told anyone this, never. And then like to just do it to a complete stranger, and then for me to actually have some like good to give back, oh, so rewarding. And I remember this is a really cool thing I got out of it was after that, there was one message that like stood out to me that was just like, it just hit home so hard. But this kid, he messaged me after it, and he said like, just listen to your Gypsytales podcast. Recently my father passed away like last year. Listening to that gave me like hope, gave me like a sense of like a better life, like happy, like just all these things, man. And that like just hit home. I'm like, I've just changed this kid's outlook on life just by telling my story. And then I remember like when I got that message and the whole like series of events that led up to that, honestly, best point in my life, high of my life by far. And then I thought back, like it's like a month or two later, I remember just sitting at home and I was like, just sitting there thinking about like what had just happened and everything. And I was like, that was the high of my life. And that all came from talking about the low of my life. And like the low of my life was obviously the suicide attempt. And I look back at that, and it's just like it had the polar opposite. And like for anyone, like I look at that struggle that I went through and that pain and all that, and then it might take a year, it might take 14 years like it did with mine, but it switched and it went from this like saddest point to happiest point. And like and anyone going through shit right now, which obviously there's a lot of people that do that or are in that, it's just like, look at the pain you're going through now is something that's like, you're going through it, but it's going to have the equal benefit in a positive way. And it might take like a day. It might take 3 weeks. It might take 14 years, but like it will turn. And if you have that mindset, like going in to know it's going to turn when it's even at rock bottom, man, like that should get you through. And like, dude, you know what I say about rock bottom? Like it's a hell of a fucking start, because it's like, you can start there. That's your base. Like, let's go.
It's pretty hard to, like, it gives you pretty firm ground to push off.
Yeah, exactly. But I just look at people, man, like, you can be in that dark place, but like what can you learn from that, or like what can you grow from that? And yeah, it's something that like I've definitely been like on that path for a while now, but now I just like really see it.
That the first thing to say to that is I think that it makes sense from, like, if you think about life as this pendulum that swings, like it's this constant good, bad, good, like you're never in, no matter who you are, what you've done, how much money you've got, like there's no physical thing in this world that can stop that pendulum from swinging. Like there's just no way to avoid it.
Yeah.
And the good thing to know about the way that shit works is like, as far as it goes this way, it has to go back this way.
Dude, I always say as good, like as bad as something gets, as good as something gets. So like when you're in, and it's good to like have that mindset even in the good times, like knowing that it could get
100%,
it can get
man.
this shit tomorrow. Like as soon as you feel like, oh, okay, I'm on this high, like set up things so you stay on that high. Like find, like don't just be like, I'm on a high, like it's never gonna be bad, because like tomorrow it could turn to shit.
100%.
So people get so caught up on just like, I'm on the high, I don't need to worry about anything else, and then like what like you something could happen, anything could happen. Like look at COVID, for example. Like imagine all the people being on a high and then suddenly change everything.
Yeah, that next day even, you know.
Yeah,